Hi, and welcome to Talking with Tapolci. I'm your host, Jason Tapolci. Last week, we spoke a little bit about originating profit. In a nutshell, that was growth, delivery, and support in the cycle, completing one cycle to scale your company. This week, we're going to talk with our product manager, Sebastian Kiely, and he's going to enlighten us about what a product manager does for a company and what his role is. So welcome, Sebastian. Glad to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jason.
Could you tell us a little bit about what a product manager does and more specifically what your role is as a product manager?
Yeah, sure. I think what a project manager does is they look at the products that you take to market and try to constantly improve them year after year to try to satisfy the needs and pain points of your customer. My role here is probably a little bit different than for most product managers. We're a smaller company. But I work with engineering, operations, sales, and ultimately the customer themselves to try to keep everything moving along. Whether that's bringing on a new vendor or coming out with a new product, I have to remain focused on internal resources and at the same time external threats and opportunities.
That's interesting. The question that comes to my mind is, so you're balancing your internal, which is the employees and internal company, but then you're also balancing external, which would be like vendors and customers and things. So how do you balance those two?
Well, VoIP Innovations has a fairly vast network, and we buy from a multitude of different providers. So half of my duty is spent looking to the outside, trying to find the best vendors that are going to solve the problems for our customers and help our cost structure. At the same time, looking internally, obviously we meet all the time as a team, and we look at ways that we can improve internally, looking at ourselves, finding ways that we can improve our products, maybe come out with something new that will help us grow our business.
So would you say that like you look at your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities and threats, and if you do, what's the difference between the strengths and weaknesses and the opportunities and threats in your mind?
So strengths and weaknesses are really something internal, something how you evaluate yourself. You're good at something, you're bad at something else. Opportunities and threats are really external. So opportunity, you might have a chance to maybe get into the mobile space or develop an SMS product. Whereas a threat might be you have a new competitor that's lowering the prices for the sell price in the business.
So as far as the strengths and weaknesses, is it fair to say that you showcase your strengths, and with your weaknesses, you're constantly identifying them and trying to eliminate them?
You know, we do something, as you mentioned, the SWOT analysis. We look at our company and we say, what are we good at? What are we bad at? We try to improve our weaknesses, and we try to align our strengths with what our customers actually need.
Okay. And then on the opportunities and threats side, so like you had mentioned, these are external. They're external. So where do you get your information? How do you know what the threats, what opportunities? It may be talking to sales.
So I'm in a unique position where I get to talk to people every day, all day. I spend most of my time on the phone, so I learn a lot by talking to various vendors and customers, find out what's out there, what's changing in the market, what customers are looking for, and I take that information back to our team internally and use that to try to develop new products and services for us.
Okay. So competition, you mentioned competition. Obviously any business has competition, and I'm curious to know, how do you stay ahead of your competition? What's the secrets?
Well, I think the secret to staying ahead of your competition is focusing on what you're good at and doing that better than anybody else, and finding a differentiator, something that makes you better than your competition because you've been doing it for so long and you do something that they don't. Focusing on that instead of everything at once can send your business forward.
So, for example, we can identify a pain in a market, but chances are other competitors have identified that pain as well. And what you're saying then is it's not good enough just to identify the pain. You got to solve that pain, but you also have to, if you want to get ahead of your competition, do something a little bit different, right? And that might be like choice, right? Choice of carriers.
Yeah, that's a good example. We pride ourselves on our back office. Our back office is catering to the pain points of customers. And we find that that's what we're good at. We're good at creating software. So we created software to take the pain points out of the customer running their business. so they can focus on growing their business as opposed to just managing it.
Well, we just wanted to say thank you to Sebastian Kiely for coming out and explaining a little bit about what the product manager does and some of his duties. Last week, as I mentioned earlier, we spoke about growth, delivery, and support. That product manager role, he really sits in the middle of that triangle, and he makes sure that the triangle keeps turning. So next week, to stick with this theme, we're going to invite somebody from the growth team, the top of the triangle, Natalie DiCario, who's the head of our marketing department, and we'll talk a little bit about growth and how to keep that spinning. So thanks again. This is Jason talking with Tapolci.